Well, maybe it's my age, but I've never thought much about legacy before. But now it's popping up everywhere. There's one client in particular who actually I never met, who's taught me more about legacy than anybody in my life. I never met him because he died about a year and a half before we started an engagement with a fabulous client. So let me call him Richard and explain a little bit of what I learned from him. So Richard was a crazy entrepreneur out of the UK. He loved in particular South America. He would travel down there and just doing all this stuff. He had a lot of failed ventures as he was just getting going as an entrepreneur, and then he really struck big with a certain kind of business, invested heavily. Eventually that business publicly listed on a stock exchange. And as he was doing that, he also bought up all these resorts in South America, all over the place that he just loved. And he does a wildlife refuge, an air charter company, all of these assets. So let's get to his legacy. When he passed, the family, now there are 5 in the next generation, okay, he left these institutions to his children. And he said, these are yours. He split them up 20% each, where they all owned a bit of the company, and then these assets together. Our work was to kind of say, do you want to own them together or do you want to separate them? So institutions, what he left there, was a big part of his legacy. He also was a very successful entrepreneur, left about $200 million to each of his children, which kind of influenced their outlook on life and their children. We helped them a bit with that. And that was fine. But then it really came home to me what his legacy was going to be when we met the family in person. It was awesome. They came together as siblings, and you just knew that they loved each other, and any kind of decisions they were going to need to make about these institutions or these wealth, they were going to work through it. They trusted each other, they loved each other, and they had the foibles of a crazy family. So relationships was the other thing I learned is part of legacy. And then finally, it was really interesting. The matriarch, who's still there, was in the meetings with us. Her name was Valerie. She said during the meeting, kids, to the 5 next gen, she said, Dad is dead. These are now your assets to decide what you want to do with him, and you should not care what he wanted. And that is such a deep value. We call it agency. She gave agency in a way is atypical in our system, the systems that we see. These 4 things set up the legacy of these institutions, this wealth, the relationships, and the legacy of this value really set up his family, I think, for great success in their generation. So good on you, Richard. Thanks for teaching us about legacy and for helping your family beyond the grave.